Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Isolda. I am the Director of National Government and Education Affairs for SHI. I'm really happy to be a part of this Foundations of Professional Development session. I've worked with Eduscape and Erin and her team. They do an incredible professional development platforms for educators throughout the country. And I just want to be able to mention Screen Zoom, the top part. It's the best friend in the world that if you go to the top left and click those buttons, it gives you a whole different dynamic of how you can see the screen, learning all different little tidbits. And also, I know the expo hall is closed for people, might not be in the booths, but you can certainly still go in there. I just wanted to mention that. I'll mention that at the end. But I want to introduce Erin Saylor and Christy Loudon, both from Eduscape. Erin is the Director of Professional Development, and Christy is the Senior Learning Leader for Eduscape. And I'm going to hand it off to you. Welcome to our conference.
Great. Thank you so much for the introductions, and welcome everybody to our session on Foundations of Professional Development. So you're going to have a poll released and coming up on your screen. So we like to ask this as we get to know you all a little bit and have a conversation about professional development. So two questions for you. The first one is around what comes to mind when you think of professional development. So as you type your answer, a word cloud will start to pop up on the screen, and you can see what others are saying as well. So what comes to mind when you think of the phrase professional development? And this can be interpreted however you would like as well. And we're seeing training, teacher training, opportunity, fun, learning. Absolutely. And as these responses come in, the words like word clouds do, the ones that are most frequently used are largest. So we have training, education, growth, opportunity. So as we go through our presentation and have a conversation around what holistic professional development could look like and how we are rethinking professional development, we'd also like to hear a little bit more about you all, what motivated you to join the session today. And this will help us kind of tailor the conversation as well to your roles, to your communities, and whatever has motivated you to join us. And I see professional growth is coming through the polls, growth as a professional person, absolutely. So as we explore a little bit more about the My Eduscape platform and review it, we're going to be able to see how professional development could look for ourselves as individuals and how it could translate to our school, communities, and districts as well. So thank you everyone for sharing those responses in the poll. We'll continue to draw upon those as we move forward. And to officially kind of introduce ourselves, Michael's already introduced us, but to hear a little bit more about our background, because Christy and I are both educators and former educators as well, fairly recently out of the classroom and have experience teaching through this pandemic and also supporting administrators, educators, parents, students even, and higher education through professional development over the last 18 months. And as we've gone through this, we've learned a lot and still have a lot more to learn. And we kind of want to share with you today how we've approached professional development. So we're going to start by just doing a little bit of level setting. This is probably one of my most frequently referenced, but also most important parts of a presentation is, as we saw in the warm-up poll, we all come together with different backgrounds, interests, and goals. So level setting helps us kind of frame our lens and have a common foundation to engage in this discussion together. We're going to explore the My Eduscape platform to see how professional development can look and does look in a holistic, all-in-one place. Be able to debrief our discussion and also have 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A as well. Along the way, there might be reflection questions or questions that you have as well. Please feel free to share those in the chat. And Christy is going to be supporting the chat, responding to you, engaging in discussion with you as well. And then in Q&A, we'd love to hear your voices as well. So when we're thinking about professional development, we were reflecting on who are our stakeholders and what are those needs. So first, we started by listening. We took surveys, we outreached, we engaged in discussions, and we really worked to listen, not just kind of hear, but really listen to what are the needs that people are sharing. So through our exploration and experience with delivering professional development and working with schools, districts, and everywhere in between, we've summarized some of the big themes that came out of those conversations. So first, we talked to students. We engaged in panels where students were sharing their experiences over the past 18 months and prior to COVID as well. And we surveyed schools and their students, and some of the things that we were finding out is that students are really, their big messaging to adults is don't forget about us. Of course, we haven't forgotten about them. We're, working so hard every day to deliver the best instruction we can, but to how much do we know our students? How much have we gotten to know them? I was listening to a student panel of middle school to high school students, and their advice to the teachers were, get to know me a little bit more. I know you're working super hard, but I want to connect with you as well. So as we have a group of students, a whole year, a whole cohort of students who have gone through this, maybe didn't get to know their teachers or their peers as much as they would have in person, as they enter a new realm, there's that reunification of the community that needs to happen in schools. How can students reconnect with each other, their educators, the school community, and also that maybe at a personal or professional level, but also how do we re-engage with the expectations? How do we work together in this learning space as well? Also from students, learning that having projects or tasks or content that's really relevant to what they're going to need. If anything has taught us this last year, the unknown is there, so we can prepare as much as we can. Of course, we can't predict, but or maybe we can, but students being able to prepare them for the real life skills that they need in order to be able to be advocates for their own lives, seek their own success, and be able to contribute to those unknown problems that might be there. So we're thinking about the keywords here of connections and building meaningful experiences. We continued our exploration and spoke to many educators through our evaluations, through the discussions and professional development we've had. And from educators, we learned many things, but to highlight some of the biggest themes here. And we've learned that educators are looking for hands-on and personalized professional development experiences. If you're an educator in the crowd today, we'd love to hear from you. How does this resonate with you? Do you also seek hands-on and personalized experiences, or is there something else you're looking for as well? Because that helps inform our understanding. But as we talk to educators, being able to not just have the skills or knowledge shared to them, but be able to interact, practice, get the feedback in order to apply their understanding and meet them where they're at. Be able to personalize instruction. So it's meeting them at their accessibility point, being able to be related to their role, their context, their goals as well. Traveling to leadership through our conversations with administrators at the school and district levels in private and public schools. We learned that they're looking for professional development that is comprehensive. It's going to include everything that teachers need, or as much as possible, and it's going to be in one place. Educators don't need to necessarily log on to 15 different portals, but how can they create an experience that gives them the trajectory that they need to grow their skills? It should also be flexible. Of course, things have changed. So if we've learned anything, I've already said this, I'll probably say this a few more times because there's lots of lessons out of this last 18 months. But flexibility is there. How can it be adaptable and amenable for different contexts and situations? And thirdly, data-driven. How can we understand what educators need and use that understanding, that evidence to drive our recommendations. So what we're investing in, what we're choosing is most relevant and most applicable, and therefore probably most impactful as well. We discussed with all staff members, office administrators, building managers, and many other roles that are in a school district, media specialists, nurses, coming up with in that discussion with them as well, having relevant and self-paced learning. So with very specific roles in a school that may not traditionally be focused on as much in PD, how can we have professional development that is relevant to their roles and integrated into the whole school community? And self-paced. Everyone's schedules are different, so being able to learn at your own pace, at your own time, in your own way. And we continued to discuss with parents, so engaging in workshops with parents, speaking with them. And through that, we kind of highlighted that parents are looking for resources, information. How can we share information that we've learned with parents, and also any information parents have learned with us? And how can we create a parent community, creating a place where parents can, or all people can discuss together, share, learn, and grow? And ultimately, we also looked at research. Research for best practices over the past few decades and possibly longer, but also research that's started to come out. And one of the key pieces of research is around that social learning community. How can we create these communities of practice that are self-regulated and learn from each other? Think about that kind of open door policy in your school. Do you feel comfortable having someone walk in and watch your lesson for a purpose of growth rather than maybe evaluation or formal assessment as well? So how can we create that collaborative spirit and safe space for people to challenge, to share, and to grow? So just pausing here, we're going to dive into our platform soon, but I've mentioned a lot of roles that we've talked to, and there's probably a lot of stakeholders that we still need to continue discussions with, but just reposing the question to you all, how does this resonate with your role and what you're looking for out of a professional development experience? You're welcome to raise your hand as well, and we can always have you speak out loud, or you can share in the chat. So you can share those ideas in the chat. And as we continue reflecting, and I see some responses coming in as well, we want to start to transition to how this information has informed our solution. So what we thought about in designing this professional development space is how can we include the idea of community, personalization, data-driven instruction. And with that, we've created the Eduscape platform. And I'm going to go through and kind of walk through how this solution is delivered to support a real holistic approach to professional development. And some of those features you're going to see me cover is courses that are standards aligned and aligned to teacher standards of practice, such as and different frameworks for evaluating professional practice. Learning paths that are designed around relevant themes, assessments or self-assessments that help a learner identify their strengths and areas for growth and use that to guide their instruction. Monitor their progress and their learning over time. You're going to hear me say this a few times, but it's not professional development that is just done one time, the box is checked off, and it kind of lives in that space and time. How can we have professional development that keeps that information comes back to the school community or resonates in the practice and be able to continue referring back and building upon what we've learned? We're going to see a real intentional instructional design model. It's not, professional development isn't this one-way conversation, it's a two-way. So similar to how I'm asking you all, how does this relate to your role? We want to ask those same questions in our design of our professional development. We have featured a community to create those communities of practice in that social learning space and provided a place where people going through professional development can create digital portfolios to use for their self-reflection their ideation of their work and their practice, and be able to show artifacts of their growth over time, whether to their administrators or for their certifications that help them progress through their goals in their career. And lastly, also looking at certifications and credentials. So as we continue through our careers, there are important benchmarks, and we have to meet those benchmarks in order to keep up our licenses. Of course, you all know that. So how this can be supported through the platform as well. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the right screen, and this is what I'm going to be modeling from. So if it helps you to also go to your right web screen, it may create a larger view for you as well. So on the screen is the My Eduscape platform, and you should be able to scroll through it at your leisure as well. And with the professional platform, it's all designed around the idea of learning paths, those relevant topics. So our learning paths feature content like blended or virtual instruction, and not just remote, not just hybrid, but all types of ways that technology can be leveraged to schedule and support that learning experience. Topics like social and emotional learning. As I spoke about that reunification of the community, how can we attend to our social emotional needs as well as our students? Diversity and equity, how do we have those courageous conversations with our students and help build our self-awareness of our culturally responsive practices, and also ensure that those are manifesting in our classrooms and our lessons. Supporting accelerated learning recovery, being able to support students in understanding where they ended the year and what they need in order to continue growing and meeting those benchmarks. In addition to other topics like STEM, even for leaders and parents and guardians. So I'm going to go ahead and get signed into the platform so we can take a bit of a deeper look here. So I'm logging in as a learner, and the first time I'm in the platform as a learner, I really want to be considering, well, there's a couple ways I can engage in the platform. If I know what I want to start learning, I can enroll in the course or in a learning path and start learning immediately. But what I might do as a learner is I want to know a little bit more about what should I engage in? Where are my skills at? And what do I want to improve upon? What are my goals? So I'm going to start by going to my learning dashboard, which houses all of my learning information. And this includes, I'm just going to get logged in again as we speak, my credentials I've earned, my self-assessments, and having the data to be able to keep an accurate and useful record to be able to explain all of the professional development that I've gone through as well. So as my learning dashboard loads here, I'm able to engage in a self-assessment to start. We have self-assessments in topics of pedagogy, as well as tool-specific, Google, Microsoft Canvas, and others as well. So what this allows me to do is think about, where is my pedagogical practice? How do I, and this aligns to ISTE, Danielson Standards, and New Jersey Professional Standards for Teachers as well. And be able to compare that data to my knowledge of technology to see how I can integrate technology in the classroom. And I'm just making sure, Chrissy, you can see my screen okay, right? Before I continue. And with the surveys, being able to have your personalized results as well across the different survey information. I can not only see how I've done, but also how I've progressed over time.
I'm seeing the login screen.
Only the login screen? Okay, yeah, I thought that might happen.
Sorry.
Nope, that's good. Thank you for the information. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe refresh. I'll just do that real quick. Sorry, everyone. You know technology. Okay, and Chrissy, is that updated?
I'm now seeing the landing page.
Okay, and I'm going to sign in one more time and see if that works. Sorry, everyone. I'd love to hear from you all while we are just sorting out our tech issues too, how professional development relates to your role. So that same type of question. We've spent all that time kind of, listening to people, and since we're here as a network as well, being able to hear a little bit more from you about how the professional development goals that we had service align to your goals as well. And let's see if I can get logged in.
I could do a little dance if you want.
Karen, I think if there's a login, you can share it. You'll just have to share your screen.
Okay, share my screen. I've got it open. I can do that. And let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing in just a second, and I'll do that on the right web screen. So if you're on the right web screen, you can still see it. And let's see.
There you go. And you'll just make your there you go. You got it. Make your
Great.
web screen that whole one. There you go, Erin.
Great, thanks. Thanks everyone for being patient. So now you can see the screen. So this is the landing page I was speaking about. Let me go ahead and get back logged in so you can follow right along with me as well. And thanks everyone for keeping me updated. And now we should be logged in, right, Chrissy? Looks like I'm seeing it on my end.
Yes, it looks like you're logged in to me.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm logged in as a learner on my Eduscape. And what I was kind of sharing as I was navigating through before is I can go in and be able to start learning right away. But what I like to do is really have that personalized experience. I want to know where take a self-assessment and know where my skills are at. So as I was speaking through those different types of surveys, pedagogy, Google, Microsoft, Canvas, whatever the tool is that you're using, being able to assess where is my pedagogical practice, and no matter what my role is really, and how that relates to my technology use as well. So we can have technology integrated instruction that's really meaningful for students. So as I go through my survey, able to get those personalized results. So whether it's in pedagogy, Google, Microsoft, I'm able to see where I'm at to inform my instruction, and also take these surveys again to be able to see how I've learned over time. I'm able to get my personalized recommendations on what courses I should take. And we're going to see what a course looks like, but as I'm able to take courses and earn my certificates, it's all captured here in the learning log. I can see where I'm at, the status of my course, be able to download these certificates, and go back to my learning, and have this all in a downloaded transcript. Again, just being able to really, be proud and speak to the professional development I've done and how I've grown over time with the variety of offerings that I've been able to engage in as well. So all of this is housed in the dashboard, being able to track your learning. And now I'm ready. I've taken the self-assessment. I've seen my results and my recommendations. I want to go in and see what a course is like and begin learning. So I'm going to go ahead into a course, and I really want to know more about social emotional learning. So I've enrolled in a SEL course, and with these courses, you're going to see how we really work to make these interactive. So in the course, learners are able to begin their progression. What is the course overview, the goals of it, access their materials, review their standards alignment, and dive right into the content. And with our content, being able to interact with the files, be able to go through the information and have a real conversation where you're not just soaking in information, which that's really important to get the information, but how do we take this information and apply our learning? So how we support that is through really intentional design of the courses. This is a course that features scenario-based learning. So they're following the story, or I would follow the story of Ms. Smith as she's working to support her students in developing their social emotional skills. Along the way, I'm seeing how Ms. Smith supports her students and applying that to my practice, how I'll support students. So through the use of videos, animation, and really intentional instructional design, whether it's case-based, scenario-based, or learning by design, being able to engage in that learning where, again, I'm not just kind of, reading the whole time, but really interacting in different ways. Another piece of professional development that we had spoken about is just that personalization, and part of that includes the feedback. How can I know how I'm doing and have the feedback in the moment? So throughout the course, being able to have instances where I can engage in knowledge checks. So whether it's a more kind of traditional knowledge check, like a multiple choice, but having that personalized feedback. So if I select the wrong answer, being able to have some guide to help me choose the right one. The courses also feature extension activities. So I had spoken about this earlier, but thinking about how we can take the knowledge that we're gaining in professional development and use that to bring back to our classrooms, impact our students, and share with our colleagues as well. So part of that holistic approach and that social design and learning is sharing and distributing that knowledge to be able to build capacity. It's a cliche at this point to say this work is hard. We know this work is hard, but how can we collectively build our knowledge and build our capacity to do this work? And part of that is through taking what we've learned in professional development and bringing it back to our spaces. Also featuring the portfolio space where I can submit, I can keep artifacts and show evidence of my learning if I choose as I build my portfolio. When I was teaching my first year, we had to submit and gather like 40 artifacts to demonstrate according to the Danielson domain, which was a lot. But I wish I had had some sort of digital space where I was keeping track of the work that I was doing, because I knew I was doing a lot. But now I had to justify and show, and it can be quite difficult. So building this culture where we are creating our stories and our narratives of how we've grown and through these portfolios. It's really important for us to always elicit feedback as well, similar to how I started the presentation with the stakeholders that we spoke with. So we're always listening to learners in the course as well, never just kind of being okay with the first round or the first iteration, but how can we continue to grow and keep learning relevant? In addition, being able to access any certificates and badging from the course, so you have your personalized certificate right there for you to be able to access. And in addition to the actual path or sequence of learning, there's also that community space right within the course, how we are discussing, asking each other questions or sharing artifacts for review. So that idea of that open door policy, again, how can we build safe spaces to get meaningful feedback from our colleagues or peers? In addition to the course, as I navigate back, I'm going to now think about this community space. So I had my community space where I'm able to engage in discussion within a course, but I can also network with everybody in the My Eduscape space as well. So here, our community, you can follow different learners, network with them, be able to engage in polls or share artifacts, and also engage in cohorts or private groups. So here are some of our cohorts in the platform, for example, where they're having discussions. And also highlighting the knowledge base. So being able to have a space where resources can be shared and accessed and grounded in evidence, or use different research findings to fuel discussions and debates, being able to share that information and have your work and your portfolio work shared in your notebook as well. Being able to refer back to any annotations from the course that you've made and have it in one place as well. So as we've kind of gone through some of the sections of the My Eduscape portal, from the courses that are offered and the learning paths in the catalog, the learning dashboard that features being able to take those self-assessments, have recommendations based on your assessments, see your results, and track your growth over time. To the community space, where you can engage with other learners. The goal of all of this, again, is to create this space where you can have learning that is at the same time as others. You can engage in your workshops, have access to your materials, engage in that e-learning where you're going through it at your own pace, at your own time, and engaging in a network with people who are doing the same work and may have similar goals as well. So as we start to switch back, and I'm going to go ahead back to the presentation, this will be up on the screen, and the website is myeduscape.com, just in case you're browsing it on your own as well. And I'm going to switch back to the main screen. So as we move into kind of debriefing, you've heard a lot about me, about our approach to professional development and what we've strive to build and find as a solution to all the stakeholders' needs and desires and learnings from this past 18 months in the Eduscape platform. I'd like to hear from you all. How do you envision professional development for yourself, your colleagues, staff, and community? And at this point, you're more than welcome to come off mute or raise your hand, and we'll call on you as well so you can share out. So as you reflect on what professional development looks for you, if you could share out, how do you see PD or professional development for yourself? Does it look like going through the surveys or being able to have personalized recommendations? What does professional development look like for your colleagues? And what could it look like for your community? Is it creating a safe space for people to share work and to challenge and to grow? And Christy's also posted the question into the chat as well. And as you're reflecting on what you envision PD to look like as well, just kind of referring back to one of the questions we had posed before, how did professional development look for you? How was that experience like? So I'm watching the chat and see that, yeah, agreeing that collaboration does help and that we learn from each other. So how can we create those spaces for more conversation? For example, creating that community space for people to share. Absolutely. And as you continue to reflect and share in the chat, we can continue to reflect on this question and also start to open up for any Q&A that you might have as well, whether it's in regards to crafting professional development at your school, or how the Eduscape platform works to rethink professional development as well.
Aaron, I received a couple of questions through the chat. Are you ready to answer some of those?
Yep, ready for Q&A.
Okay, and I know that there's been some comments that I guess Christy is fielding and comments. Who can enroll in Eduscape?
Yeah, so for Eduscape, there's different instances or scenarios in which people might enroll. So it can be individual educators or administrators or anybody in a professional role in a school community or a district. So they can sign up as individuals. And another scenario is a school or district signing up together. So being able to create those accounts and engage in common courses that are chosen by the district as well from the catalog. And
So, Yeah,
just, mhm.
that will that lend to the next question of, what kind of courses can people participate in?
Yeah, great question. So for the different courses centered around those learning paths, so we have 30 and counting learning paths ranging from different topics like STEM for administration, accelerated learning, virtual instruction, and also starting with the foundations of pedagogy as well. So whether they're pre-service teachers building their skills or in the beginning of their career, or those that are veterans or real innovators and really honing their practice, the courses are also sequenced at different levels. So if you think about your college courses, having that 100 level, 200, 300, our courses are designed to build in complexity and facets of complexity or topic as well. So that way, no matter if you're a beginner or an advanced practitioner, there's a course that will be related for you. So if there's one in particular that you're thinking about, please feel free to share or ask, and I can definitely speak to courses that are related to that topic.
You're working with Eduscape throughout the years, especially during the pandemic and the federal stimulus dollars, specifically for the need for learning acceleration and mitigation. We don't like to say loss. A lot of these course paths that you've developed come specifically from the Department of Educations that are really needing to come up with community of learners for STEM, STEAM, social emotional learning, or any other paths that they need during certainly these summer months as we bring kids back to school in September. So, your paths are really very relevant, and the whole community of learning platform, Aaron, as you know, is just so unique. We don't see that in many other platforms. I have one more question, and that was just a little commentary because I've seen the platform. It's incredible and very excited. How can someone obtain records of my learning?
Yeah, so I guess just to unpack that question a little bit, is it related to privacy or more about accessibility, how you can access your records? So feel free to clarify, but I'll kind of speak to both points.
I think it's to both, if you could.
Both, okay, great. So when it comes to privacy, so My Eduscape is based on your user account, like most cloud-based platforms. So you log in with your username, your email, and your password, and all of that data is there stored to your account. And our policies for privacy and things are on the site as well. So you are alone able to see your work, and it's up to you how you kind of use that data to pull the transcript or share that information to guide conversations with your administration. In our roadmap for development is also district leader or school leader login, but we've had conversations around, and I'd love to hear your point of view as well, whether that data goes back anonymously or not, and being able to provide that option so people can submit their information to their district or school anonymously. But to long answer short, your information is private to yourself. When it comes to actually accessing the information, so I'll probably refrain from switching screens just because we had that tech issue earlier, but when you're logged in, the learning dashboard is housing all of the information you need. So you can view the information visually on the screen, the surveys you've taken, the courses you've taken, and your certificates or badges, and everything can be downloaded as well. So with a click of a button, being able to download that transcript, have a PDF, and you can submit it for your own credentialing or your own licensing, for example, or to use in a conversation with your administrator.
I don't have any other questions that are in chat. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to touch on at this time.
Great. So if there's any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Also, I'm putting on the screen our email. So if you do have any other questions or ideas post this session, please feel free to email us at info@eduscape.com. The website for My Eduscape is there, so if you're also browsing around or thinking about how this resonates with the professional development at your school, I saw that someone had shared that you have a great place where professional development happens, and looking into more the idea of creating a community space, a place for discussion. As we also do have a Facebook group that's quite active with users being able to, other educators having this conversation. So even if it's not through My Eduscape, there's always a community there for you, and we're here to support you. So with that being said, there's just some pricing information up on the screen, but mostly it's just having this conversation around what have we learned about professional development? How does this relate to your needs? And how does this inform a solution? So with that being said, thank you so much everybody for your time and your attention and your questions as well. And we'll go ahead and wrap up early, but always hang back a minute more or so if you have any questions. Thanks,
And
everyone.